For my newest fairy garden accessory, I made the cutest little gazebo out of sticks, and I'm so obsessed with how it turned out. So follow along if you want to see how I made it. This is a relatively easy craft, and it doesn't require a lot of materials, and a good majority of the materials you can find right in your backyard. I started off by breaking up 5 sticks at the same height for the standing up portion of the gazebo, and then I cut 4 smaller ones so I could glue them together. But then I realized I should probably start with the base because that really is going to determine the size of the gazebo. I had longer pieces in the middle and they got shorter and shorter as they went towards the outside of the circle to make the gazebo floor and make that circular shape. And then I used some good old hot glue to glue all the little stick pieces together to make the floor. And with the standing up pieces, it did take a lot of trial and error, and I did actually have to take apart the pieces that I glued together before because the spacing was all wrong. And instead of trying to do it all while it was already glued together, I ended up just doing it like post by post and then putting the little pieces in between each post together after it was already glued onto the floor. And that was a lot easier than trying to glue it when the posts were already attached with the middle piece. I was really clueless on what to do for the roof, and then it hit me. I was like, why don't I use one of the recycled paper pieces that I've made, which you can see how I made that in my previous bookmark video, and I cut it so that I could make it like a circle, and then I just hot glued it together, and then I painted it brown. But the jury's still not out. Like, I don't know if I'm going to keep the roof like this. Let me know what you think. I don't know if I love it or not, but it was good for the time being. The piece of recycled paper was already a circle. I just cut a slit in it and then folded it on itself so it would make that roof shape. And then I felt like the structure wasn't that sturdy, so for the railing pieces that kept the post together, I did glue little pieces to kind of give it a little bit more like reinforcement and support. Once I was done with that, I was ready to hot glue the roof on, and then the structure itself was pretty much done, and it was time to add the final touches. So I hot glued a little cute butterfly on there, and then I got some of this moss that I had, and I just took it and started wrapping it around the railing and in between the posts, and I added a little bit of hot glue to some pieces of it, but for the most part, it's just on there free hanging, and I just kind of tried to tweak it, make it look nice, and then I started to add these cute little flowers in there. They're little dried jasmine flowers, and I think they were the perfect touch, and I think it's what makes me love how this turned out so much. I just think they're so cute. Once it was all done, I added it to the fairy garden to see how it looked, and I think it's the best addition yet.